So I wasn't initially thinking of making this video, but the more time went by, the more I realized this is becoming a really serious issue. And I'm sorry to say this, but I have no doubt that the overwhelming majority, sadly, of the people who are watching these videos, if you are a parent and you're watching this video, that there is something you're doing wrong in your parenting. It's something sad to say because we have all the guidance, we have all the means, we have all the ability. The Islam has given us the guidance so we can understand and know what we need to do, what is the right approach that we take with our kids. But most parents are not doing this. So if you are a parent, I think it's a must for you. It's not even maybe not. It's a must for you to sit down and listen and watch this video. If you know any parents, if you're not a parent yourself and you know a parent or you know someone who has kids, you need to send them this video. This is a serious issue. It's not something which is small here and there. And otherwise, I wouldn't have talked about it. But I'm realizing more and more, like I said, this is becoming a real serious issue and we need to talk about it. I've always been getting emails from people, sometimes with doubts, sometimes with issues. But recently, I'm realizing there's more and more parents who would reach out and say, oh, for example, my kid left Islam. My kid became a different religion, or my kid just left the religion of Islam, became an atheist, became a liberal. My daughter is joining the rainbow flag movement. My son is doing this. And this is becoming more and more. It is not something that is happening and disappearing and these kids are coming back to the religion. No, this is increasing on every day. It's increasing. And people book private sessions with me sometimes. And I've noticed this also increasing in the private sessions. People will book a private session about their son, about their daughter for me to talk to them. Recently, someone had a kid that became a Christian and I had an entire 2-hour discussion with them. They left Christianity, but now they're atheists, the kid is saying. They think, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to them. They were okay. And one day they left Islam. No, it's never like this. And that's what we're going to discuss in this video. We're going to discuss what the people are doing wrong. I recently had another private session, just like last week or a few days ago, where with parents crying and talking about how they realize now, how they should have done so many things that they were not doing, that this is their responsibility. But you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the parent when it's too late, when the kid is already left or the kid went astray, went in the wrong path. And now you're starting to realize I have to do something about this. And some people come to me thinking I have some sort of a magic pill I'm going to give to the kid and the kid is going to come back. No, you have to raise your kid the right way from the start. You have to do the things that we're going to talk about in this video. You have to view things with this right mentality from the start to have your kids on the right foundation and not come later on when the problem is there. Prevention is better than cure. Don't be one of those people who will end up coming to this person or that person. Oh, my kid is facing this issue. My kid is joining this movement. Where were you when your kid was younger? I'm not going to say that it's a phenomena of kids leaving Islam. That's not the phenomena. The phenomena is that the parenting is not being done the right way. And that is what is leading these kids to leave. Because Islam is the truth. We know Islam is the biggest growing religion in the world. We know everyone has evidences for Islam. And the overwhelming majority of these kids end up becoming non-religious or joining some crazy movement, like I said, rainbow flags or whatever. It's not about Islam not being the truth. It is about the fact that the parenting that is being done to these kids, in most cases, of course, I'm not saying that if your kid leaves Islam, that means you're a bad parent necessarily. No, it could happen where you do everything in your power and Allah tests you with you. It can happen. However, in most cases, and the cases that I deal with, this is not the case. The case is that the parenting is the bad parenting and not that the kid is the one who ended up becoming a different religion or following a different path. I'm sure a lot of the people watching this video are guilty of this issue. When you're teaching your kid, you're just telling them do this without giving them any rationality, without giving them any explanation. And a lot of the parents end up using strict methods, whether being very harsh with the kids. Some of them can beat them. Some of them can do this, can do that. Or don't question, don't ask, just believe. A lot of the parents are applying this method. And it is sad. It is really sad. You tell your kid, do this, do this, do that, do this, do that. It's time to pray. Wake up, pray, do this. Like, it doesn't understand. What's the reason? What's the purpose? Why am I doing this? Why do we believe in this? I'm doing this because my parent tells me to do this. I'm not doing this because I understand the reason behind doing this. And I understand many of us have grew up, many of the people watching this video, and many Muslims have grew up in families where they had the same treatment. They had like the parents telling them, just do this. Like, we're born Muslims, we're born like this way, so just go pray, go do this. We need to understand ourselves before we talk about our kids. We need to understand ourselves why we're Muslims. And then our kids need to understand why they're Muslims and why they do the things that they do. We need to learn this ourselves, understand this ourselves, and teach this to ourselves. Your kid is not going to one day just wake up and say, I want to leave Islam or I left Islam. And a lot of these kids, I'll tell you, they do it in secret. Some parents discover it through their computers, through a friend, through a teacher. They have no idea that they did. They had no clue. They were so much sleeping on their responsibility as parents that they wake up and they're surprised and they, by coincidence, realize that their kids has left Islam. But your kid is never going to wake up one day like this and say, like, oh, I don't want to be a Muslim anymore. There's reasons why you reach that conclusion. So the number one reason and the biggest disease that I need to highlight is the idea of social media. Now, a lot of parents, because they're lazy parents, what do? You have parents, sometimes both parents working, or sometimes not both of them working. Sometimes you have multiple kids. You don't want to, the mother or the father, you know what? You don't want to spend time and talk to the kids and do this and do that. Okay, here you go. There's the iPad. Go play. And in their mind, okay, that's the solution. Okay, now if I give the kid the iPad 2, 3, 4 hours, the kid is going to be busy playing with the iPad. And me, I'm going to have all the time in the world to cook, to clean, to do what I want, to go watch something, to relax, and leave the kid with the iPad. But it's never a harmless thing. Like, you just giving the kid a device and that's the end of it. The iPad is one of the biggest, iPad, iPhone, phone, whatever it is one of the main reasons for the destructions of the mentality of these kids. First, you destroy their mentality is where you make them hooked to these devices and objects where they're no longer social. Their entire life is on a device, is on the computer, on a phone, like yourself. You yourself, well, a lot of us are guilty of this. Now you're transmitting this problem and disease to your kids. Now they're hooked to live a life on a device. Everything they do, you wake up on the device, they sleep on the device. Now what's on this device? Social media. And parents have no restrictions. They see nothing. What this kid goes and watches. I was in a colleague's house once. Someone that I used to work with, I visited his house. He invited me. I think it was Ramadan or something. So I came to his house. I sat in the living room and his kid was sitting. There was a computer in a corner and there was the living room. And his father was there. We were talking. His father went to bring the food and come back. His kid was pretending to play on some sort of a random game on the computer. The minute his father left, he started opening YouTube. And he was watching one of those YouTubers. I'm not going to mention his name. Watching one of those popular streaming YouTubers, whatever, gaming and shooting people. And I hear all sorts of curses, insults, jokes, which are not appropriate for any kid. And the kid is like probably 9 years old or something, or 8 years old. And he's on the computer watching this. And the father's like, oh, my kid is there. And I told the parent, of course. He's just like, he has no clue how much influence this has on his kid. The idea of role models, because you're not given to your kid, they build it on these social media apps. They watch this streamer, this YouTuber, this whatever content creator that they're watching, or whatever Reddit community they're going on, or Discord community they're on, and they start having role models from these people that they see. Their role model can become this YouTuber that curses and insults and goes with women and goes to the clubs. This is their new role model because you give them the phone, and the phone has become their life. And day and night, they're sitting down and like living on the phone and what's happening on the phone. So the influences on the kids, the first thing you see today is the biggest issue is the idea of social media. So what do you do? I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But let me talk about other influences. How do kids move from this idea of being good kids, Muslim kids, born upon the fitrah, like the Prophet said, that every child is born upon the fitrah. But then your mother or father or your community will change you into something else. So what are these influences? Why are these kids deviating, going? So the number one thing is this idea of social media and allowing this unrestricted or this freedom and attaching your kids and their mentality to using these devices from a young age where they cannot live without it. The second thing is their environment, school or their friends. I have parents, and this is not once or twice I'm saying. I get people on the da'wah table come, and she's a woman bringing me her kid, and her kid is like, again, very young kid, 7 years old, 8 years old. And he's asking about Jesus being God or something like that. From where is this coming? Muslim family. Why is he asking about Jesus being God? The reason is the school. She is taking her kid to a non-Muslim school, and she has with him friends, non-Muslim friends. I asked her, do you even know who your kid is friends with? She has no idea. No idea. And many parents watching this video know it's the same thing. You have no clue who your children are friends with. You take them to a non-Muslim school. You live in the West, even if you are living in a Muslim country, and you take them to a school, but you don't know who their friends are. You don't know who their company is. And you have no clue what they're learning. So that a young child goes to school, like other kids talk to him about Jesus. The teacher talks to him about Jesus. Other friends or like their parents are teaching them religion, clearly, because they're telling that to your son. And then your son now has no clue. He's confused. Jesus, not Jesus, God. Not, like he has nothing. You have taught your kid nothing. I believe no parent in his right mind is a Muslim parent is going to send his kid to a non-Muslim school. I don't believe that you'd be in your right mind and you're doing this. And I already know there is tens of thousands of people probably watching this video and doing this. We need to start waking up. A lot of the parents watching this video, I know. You haven't sat down and took your kid and taught him Islam and its foundations and the religion. You have not done this. Parents have become lazy. And some people, I genuinely believe, I'm being very harsh, I believe you shouldn't have kids. If you're not going to take care of these kids, you shouldn't even have kids. Those parents are so lazy. Sometimes they come to me, do you have a book that teaches a kid Islam? He thinks his kid, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, he's going to give him a booklet and the kid is going to become Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah tomorrow. Or, oh, do you have a website? Do you have this? What kind of joke is this? What kind of a parent is this? If you're not going to spend the time and sit down with your kid, teaching them yourself, you think you're going to give them a booklet like school does, and you think he's going to know, he's going to learn, he's going to understand, he's going to be convinced? What, you think you're talking to someone who's 40 years old now or what? You have to build the foundation in your kids. And this is not some sort of a joke. This is a serious issue. It's a serious issue. And some people don't understand the seriousness of this issue. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, there is none among you who is a ra'i, who is a responsible for another person or the affairs of another subject. Like the parents, because the Prophet ﷺ said, kullukum ra'in. All of you are shepherds and responsible for your flock. So the Prophet says, there is none among you who is like this, who's a shepherd responsible for his flock. At any level, you could be a ruler or you could be a parent. And then he says, and he died in a state in which he was dishonest in fulfilling that role, in taking care of that subject, except that paradise is going to be forbidden from him. Can you imagine? This hadith is on Sahih Muslim. We're talking about a serious issue. We're not talking about a joke. This is a serious issue that you need to take and you need to understand. You're going to have a kid. That kid, just like he's going to be one of the three things that would benefit you after you die. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, if the child of Adam dies, his deeds will stop except from three things. One of them is a righteous kid that makes dua for you. How is it going to be a righteous kid when you're not even taking care of it? Just like that kid can be that type of benefit, he's also a trial for you. Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ. Verily your wealth and your children are a test for you. So that kid is a test for you. If you don't take care of that kid, it can be your damnation in the afterlife. Because it's a responsibility. It's not just like you give birth to someone and you let them go and you think that they're going to learn everything on their own. And I tell you, there's so many stories I can talk about when kids mix with other kids in school. And not just kids, but they even mix with other family members. You can have your kids mixing with your cousins. But the other family, which is your sister's family or your brother's family, they don't teach their kids any values. They're a liberal Muslim family or they're whatever. Their kids are going to have the wrong ideas. And these ideas are going to be transmitted to your kids. So even if you homeschool your kids, even your own family members, what kind of kids are there that your kids are communicating? You need to understand the majority of the kids are going to be learning. They're going to learn from the influences that I told you about. Their environment can be the schools, the friends, the kids that they deal with, social media, parenting. These are the influences around the kid's life that is going to build his character, build his beliefs. I know this myself when you like the lazy parents that just bring some random teacher. Oh, come, this random teacher is going to teach you Quran. No, you have to put the effort. I know when I was younger, and if my parents take me to some teacher or whatever, I just like go there for the sake because only my parent is telling me to go there, and I don't pay attention to what he's saying. Sometimes I don't attend if I cannot attend, if I can escape it somehow. Don't care. You're just going there because your parents is telling you to do it. If you don't do it yourself, if you don't do it the right way, your kids are gonna end up in the end in that path that I'm telling you that we don't want any of our kids to end up in. Something very important now to talk about, which is the idea of homeschooling. Whoever is in the West and has the ability to homeschool their kids, they need to homeschool their kids. Your kid, literally, not getting an education is, in most cases, would be better than taking your kids to a Catholic school where they're going to teach them rainbow flag values and they're going to teach them disbelief values and you're not even taking care of them. Them being with no education home is, in many cases, better than you doing that to them because their afterlife is more important than this life. Their akhirah is more important than this life. You're not a good parent because your kid has a degree. You're a good parent because you taught your kid the right values and the right morals, which he will grow up with, and he will carry on as a torch for his own kids and benefiting his community. This is what a good parent is. A lot of the parents have this stupid idea, or they think they're good kids because their kid is an engineer. They send their daughters to become engineers and doctors rather than raising the value of being a wife in their daughter and getting her married in her early days. When she's in her early 20s, getting her married, no, they're making her spend 10 years in some random school or doing this or doing that. Of course, we need some female doctors to take care in exceptional cases where a woman needs a doctor. However, what is a priority for you to teach your kid? What is a priority for you to teach your son? What is a priority for you to teach your daughter? We're not teaching our kids to be men and women anymore. I'm saying even with their kids, we're not teaching them the right values to begin with. So homeschooling is a very, very, very important thing if you are in the West. If you are in the West, it's either you take your kids to a Muslim school, which is a good Muslim school. Not all Muslim schools are good. Some Muslim schools are just like Muslim schools, but they're not teaching proper mannerisms to the kids. It's either a good Muslim school, but it's better than a Muslim school. Even if you send them to a Muslim school that's not great, it's better. Either a Muslim school or you homeschool your kids. This is a responsibility upon you. You should not, under any circumstance, take your kid to. I've met some Muslims who took their kids to Catholic schools. Yeah, like I couldn't believe it, but they do it. You don't take your kid to a non-Muslim school. Don't do it. Unless you want your kids to leave Islam, okay, go. Take them wherever you want to take them. Go put them in an environment where you will deal with teachers. You know, there's this YouTuber. His name is like, I'm Lucid or something. I think he accepted Islam. He has a video where he talks about his story. He wasn't even a Muslim, where he believes in God and how his teacher was mocking him and making fun of him. He's not even a Muslim. He was making fun of him to make him stop believing in God, mocking the idea of believing in God. And he's still a kid. And his teacher is an adult, so he knows how to argue. And he's mocking the kid until the kid stops believing in God. This is what happens in many of these schools. Go ask the Muslim teachers that are what kind of rules they give them to teach the kids. So unless you really want to risk the afterlife of your kids, try to homeschool your kids. It's a responsibility upon you. How do we raise our kids the right way? How do we teach our kids? What are we supposed to do? So the first thing you need to understand is that you have to be a good example. Before talking about your kids, you have to be a good example. If you are a mother that doesn't wear the hijab, if you're a father that doesn't pray, doesn't go to the mosque, doesn't pray, doesn't listen to Islamic lecture, doesn't do any of these things, and you want your kid to do it, more likely than not, they're not going to do it because they don't see you doing it. They see a hypocrite, someone who's telling me to do something that they themselves are not doing. So you need to become a good example for the sake of your kids. Do it for the sake of your kids. Fix your own life. Become a good example. Don't be the parent who doesn't pray and tells his kid to go pray. He's not going to go pray. How is he going to pray when you don't pray? Or a woman doesn't wear the hijab and tells her kid, the hijab is nice, you should wear the hijab. How is she going to wear the hijab when you don't wear the hijab? Of course, there's exceptions where Allah will guide the kid. But if you're not a good example, more likely than not, they're not going to listen to you when you give them advice. If you want your kids to be listening to you, you have to be a good example for them. You have to be a good example in their life. That is the first and most important thing that you need to understand. Now, after that, what do you need to do? A lot of us, tell me, how many of you people watching the video, if you're a grown man now, if you're a father, how many of you sat down? Or if when you were a kid, your father sat you down and said, come here, we're going to learn the foundations of Islam. We're going to learn why we're Muslims. We're going to learn our beliefs. We're going to learn our creed. How many of you have done this or had this experience when they're young? And if the answer is no, the people who are saying no, that's why we are where we are today. You know, your heart is like a sponge, right? Your heart is like a sponge. And this is a description of one of the scholars. Your heart is like a sponge. If that sponge is filled, when you spill something on it, it's not going to absorb it. But if that sponge is empty, it's going to absorb whatever you spill on it. It's going to absorb whatever you pour on it. So if our kids are not being taught anything, they don't have a foundation, we have not instilled any values within our kids, what we believe, why we believe what we believe, why are we Muslims, what is our faith, what is our beliefs? If we haven't instilled these values within our children, their heart, well, everything else will be poured on it. And they will take beliefs from everything around them, their environment, social media, wherever they are. You have to teach your kids their foundations and learn. Like, you know, we have so many examples in the Quran, in the Sunnah, in the Hadith, like the Prophet ﷺ. There's this famous narration from Abdullah ibn Abbas where he said one day he was riding behind the Prophet ﷺ. And look how the Prophet ﷺ is teaching him. And he was a ghulam, he was a young boy. But look how the Prophet ﷺ is talking to him. This is how you need to address your kids. I know, I still remember till this day when my mother, may Allah be pleased with her and preserve her, she taught me something. I still remember in this day when I was a kid. She was telling me about how to groom and take care of my body and how to trim your hair and stuff. She was telling me, until this day I remember, because she stood me up and she said, do you know how to do this? I said, no. She said, you need to understand, as a Muslim, we do this. The Prophet ﷺ said this, you need to do this. Until this day, I was a kid. I don't even remember how I looked, but I remember when she told me to do that. The Prophet ﷺ told him, oh young boy. So look, the Prophet ﷺ is addressing him. And then he's saying, I'm going to teach you a few words. We don't even sometimes talk to each other that way. The Prophet ﷺ is talking, as adults, the Prophet is talking to a young boy in this way. He says to him, be watchful of Allah. He will preserve you. If you're watchful of Allah and you obey His command, Allah will protect you. He will safeguard you. Safeguard His rights. He will be always with you. If you beg only from Allah. Oh, look, your kids now, they beg everyone. They will go beg a random stranger for a piece of candy because you don't teach them. And if you seek assistance, supplicate to Allah alone. Look, these values, if you instill in your child, when he's in a time of difficulty, he's going to remember Allah. He's going to make dua. He's going to call upon Allah. And remember that if all the people gather to benefit you, they will not be able to benefit you except what Allah wants for you. Look, when the kid understands that, look, if everybody comes and everybody wants to give me money, everyone wants to help me, if Allah is not happy with me, if Allah is not pleased with me, if Allah is not willing this, I'm not going to get it. And if everybody comes against me and they try to harm me, if everybody is my enemy, I shouldn't be scared, because none of them can do anything to me except what Allah Azza wa Jalla. We have these narrations where the Prophet is teaching young kids, so we can copy and do the same thing and teach our children. We don't just read these narrations, these ahadith, these verses for the sake of reading them. Allah tells us in the Quran, in Surah Luqman, I'm sure many of you know, why Allah gives us an example of how Luqman was teaching and advising his son. So you can bring your son and do the same thing. Allah says in the Quran, وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. When Luqman said to his son, advising him, what we're saying, bringing your children, sitting them down to give them advice, to teach them, oh my son, do not commit shirk with Allah. Do not associate with Allah. Indeed, shirk is a grave sin. Oh my son, do not associate with Allah. Worship Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. His young son, he's teaching him, he's giving him these words so he can understand, so he can learn in the future that you instill within your child tawheed. You instill within your child monotheism, not associating with God, not being a polytheist from a very young age. Then he says to him, يا بني إنها إن تكن مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها. My dear son, even if a deed were to weigh a mustard seed and it is hidden inside the rock or in all of the heavens or all the earth, Allah is able to bring it. Surely Allah is the most subtle, the all aware. The kid then internalizes, understands that Allah Azza wa Jalla has the ability, the power over all this universe that He's created. He's able to control everything. So you do not despair when you are in a bad situation. You understand that Allah Azza wa Jal is the creator that has the power over everything. Then he talks to him about the deeds. يا بني أقم الصلاة. Oh my son, establish a prayer. وأمر بالمعروف. Enjoin the good, forbid the evil. And be patient upon that which happens to you. Surely this is a resolve to aspire to. إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. And then he says to him, ولا تصعر خدك للناس ولا تمشي في الأرض مرحا. And do not turn your nose up to the people. Do not work pridefully on the earth. Allah does not like those who are boastful and arrogant. You teach your kid not to be like that from a young age, so he can grow up on these characteristics. Be moderate in your pace. Lower your voice. For indeed, the ugliest of voices is the praying of a donkey. So when you say these things, when you teach your kid from a very, very, very young age, this is the characteristics. This is the behavior that you take. This is the foundations that you believe in. We are Muslims because of the following. Islam is the truth. Prophet Muhammad was a messenger from God. He was sent to mankind. Allah chose Prophet Muhammad because of his pure heart. And Allah sent all of these prophets and messengers because Allah loves us, wants to take us out from misguidance into guidance, into light. And He gives us all of these commands because these commands are for our benefit. Allah doesn't benefit from them. We are the ones who benefit from them. We do them because they are beneficial for us. And then you give them examples. When someone makes something, they tell you how to interact with it because they know what's best for it. They created it. Allah created us. He knows what's best for us. Then you teach your kid why we're Muslims, why we believe what we believe. And you make a connection between them and their creator. You have to regularly sit your kids down and teach them this. You teach them this belief that to rely on Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. And to teach them, of course, the basics of their practices. That you need to know yourself how to pray. When is your wudu breaking? When is not your wudu is not breaking? What is the arkan of the prayer? You need to teach your kids these things. You need to grow up with the correct foundation, because once their sponge is filled, then you don't worry about other influences influencing them, because they know. They grew up knowing that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the only true God. They understand that there is no other gods out there. They understand why they're believers. They understand why they pray to Allah. They understand why Islam is the truth. Then you give them role models. When you give your kid the phone, his role model becomes this random YouTuber. You have to give him a role model. How do you give him a role model? Of course, first, you have to be a good example in their life, but teach your kid the stories of the Sahaba. Teach your kid the stories of the prophets. Teach your kid the stories of the companions. And when you teach them a value in the story. You teach them the courageous nature of Ali ibn Abi Talib in his battles. You teach them the wisdom of the Sahaba, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. You teach them the strength of Umar ibn Khattab, and you bring them a story. There's many examples that we have. And this has to be regular, at the very least, minimum once a week. Then a kid starts to look up to someone. And then when you teach them the value, when that same situation happens to them, they remember, I have to be honorable because Ali ibn Abi Talib was honorable, because Uthman ibn Affan was honorable. I should be honorable in this situation. This Sahabi forgive the other Sahabi when he did this to him. I should forgive my friend when my friend's attack does something bad to me or curses me or insults me. These values are only going to come from these stories and these role models that you build in your child's life. Once your child has a role model they look up to, they will want to imitate. They will want to do the same thing they did. They will want to learn more about it. That is not going to come on its own. You have to do that. Have to put the effort as a parent. You have to put the effort. Then you have the idea of teaching them, having hobbies for them, having beneficial things for them. Try to make sure as much as you can that these hobbies are also like social. Not to have everything they do is just live on a phone. Even if they go do some sort of a beneficial sport where they learn how to protect themselves or defend themselves. Beneficial hobbies, things which can benefit the kid, which you can also enjoy. But at the same time, something that can bring them benefit. Physically, it can have them interact with other people. It can have them build character. This is what you need to teach your kid. Look for these types of hobbies to build that becomes a part that builds their character rather than living and dying on their phone. And make sure they have the right environment, the right circle of friends. How do you know your kid is going to have the right circle of friends? By finding families which have the similar values as the ones you have. If another family has a similar value as the ones that you hold to, the ones that you have yourself, then it's okay for your kids to be around them. Because if you believe the right things and they have the same values, then their kids, they're going to teach their kids and their kids will be upon the right values and they can be around them. So you make sure that your kids are around the kids of other families that have similar values to the ones you have. And you make sure that they are not around the wrong friends. You tell them not to be with these friends. If they are wrong friends, if they're going to take them to the wrong path, you need to put effort as a parent to make sure what kind of friends your kids have. And like I said, you cannot put them in a non-Muslim environment. You cannot raise them in a non-Muslim environment. I was even telling to my friends, he takes his kids to a kindergarten, but they teach him Catholic kindergarten, and they teach them at kindergarten, they're already teaching them about rainbow things and issues from this age. Even kindergarten, let alone talking about first, elementary school or secondary school. Have to be very important where you put your kids. So take your kids to the mosque with you. As a father, you go to the mosque and take your kid to the mosque. Take them to Islamic lectures so they can listen and they learn, and from a young age so they can grow up with this in their mind. Rather than grow up in their mind watching Hollywood, grow up in their mind watching this, watching that, watching this YouTuber, watching that streamer. If they grow up watching that streamer, they would want to be a streamer. If they grow up in the mosque, they grow up watching Islamic lecture, they grow up with their role models as the Sahaba, they would want to be like the Sahaba. So pay attention to this. It's very important. And when you deal with your kids, like I said, this harshness of everything, and it usually pushes your kid away. This is the fault that many parents do. You need to understand how to teach your kids the right way. You need to use motivation with them. Usually when kids are young, use motivational methods with them. Buy things that they love and desire. If you want them to do something, you want them to learn a story, you want them to come and sit and listen. When they do something good, reward them. Reward them. Buy gifts. By allowing them, for example, if they're going to watch something beneficial and they like watching, maybe there is like these cartoons that teaches you some morals or something like that. They like watching them. So make it as a gift. Make it as a motivational thing. If they do the right thing, they watch. You bring them gifts, you bring them sweets, you bring them stuff like that. Take them on trips as a motivational thing when they do something right. You have to put an effort as a parent to motivate your kids in the right way. The firmness can be applied and it has its own places, but firmness should only be applied when the matter is really serious. Talking about really serious issues, you do something really wrong and it needs to be corrected, then firmness can be applied. Like you change your tone of voice, you change your look when you look at them, you make sure that this is something serious. But if you're doing this all the time, then they wouldn't care. This should only be done when something is really serious, so they can understand, okay, I've done something really serious. Because I'm always good, kind, merciful to my kids, but all of a sudden now I'm being very firm. They understand this is something very serious. I need to make sure not to do this again. And I'm telling you these things to do before it is too late. You will be responsible on the day of judgment for what your kids do if you don't teach them. If you don't take your responsibility and put the effort in and do everything in your power, Allah will hold you accountable for where they ended up. So I'm telling you this before it's too late. Before you become that person that, oh, let me book a call, let me get private sessions because my son left Islam, or my daughter has become like this, or my son has become like that. Well, they will become like this if you don't teach them the foundations. So before it is too late, you got to wake up. You got to understand it is time now for us to put some effort as parents to sit down seriously. Look, session I was having not too long ago. The parents were crying. They were sitting there like, we're realizing, but realizing when? When it's too late. Oh, we should have been doing this. We realized that we were wrong. You cannot go back in time. So do not be the parent who leaves his kids without guidance, without role models, without teachers, and not instilling the right values in them from a young age. Teach your kid the right beliefs, the right creed that we have as Muslims, the right behaviors, and have role models for them. And make sure these phones, these devices are not given. These devices should only be given for call. Give them a Nokia phone or something like that. When they're elder, once they have the correct foundations, the correct beliefs, you're sure that they're understanding, they're good, then maybe you can introduce these devices into the life. Never, ever introduce these devices for young kids. Never, ever introduce these social media devices and phones and tablets for your kid when he's 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11 years old. Never. Wait until your kid has already been established in the right beliefs, in the right foundation, the right understanding. He's smarter. He understands the right from wrong. Then perhaps you can gradually start to introduce these devices. And if you've already done this, then you have to slowly and slowly apply what we said you need to do, and slowly restrict that usage in their life. It will be very difficult because now you've made their life on their phone because you were doing bad parenting. But if you want your kids to be good in the future, to not go in the complete path of destruction, then start applying the right teachings. It will make an influence, even if your kids grew up with these things. Slowly by slowly, make a few restrictions on the usages, introduce the beliefs, them understanding what they believe. Even if they go astray a little bit, there's always a foundation they can come back to. May Allah Azza wa Jal guide us all and guide our kids and guide our families to the best of mannerisms and best of deeds and that which pleases Him. May Allah Azza wa Jal give you all barakah and your families. And inshallah, you will listen to this and you will start applying it in your life, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
يا دعاة رب السماء يا من صنعتم في الأرض نورا يا قلوبا فيها الوفاء بشركم اليوم السرورا